Morning. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How you feeling this morning, sweetie?
I feel good.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. Karen, thanks for jumping in. If you guys get this notification, please do us a favor real quick and share this out. Got a couple of quick confessions to make and want to talk particularly to the men. For those of you all who may not know us, my name's Glenn P. Brooks Jr. Sorry about that. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a relationship coach, and this beautiful light skin sitting in the orange, lovely young lady next to me is
Cherie Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship, and life balance coach, and it's great to be with you guys this morning.
So Cherie, this is Breakfast with the Brookses, right?
Yes.
And this is our first broadcast of
2018.
2018, so yay! So here's what I want to do real quick. If those of you all who are coming in, maybe you're a replay viewer, do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat, so I can greet you more personally, particularly offline, because obviously you're not here live. Just wanted to be able to shout you out, say hey, but put a 1 in the chat. If you are here and you've been married or you are married, I want you to put a 2. If you are married or have been married, put a 2 in the chat, whether you are live or a replay viewer, and we're going to talk about some stuff today.
Right. And please share this out. We want as many people as possible to be able to hear this broadcast, especially the men.
Yes. So if you have a man in your life, either you're dating, maybe he's your dad, and you watch these kinds of behaviors, perhaps he's your brother or even your uncle. Right? Absolutely. If he's your husband, I want you to tag him on this particular broadcast. So we've been going through, and Cherie and I launched at the beginning of this year on January the 1st. So today is the 6th. So it's day 6 of a love dare that we challenged our marriages and parenting successfully group to go through. And it's been an experience so far. And if you want to know a little bit more about MAPS, it's our relationship academy we created a year ago, this coming January the 30th. It's a relationship academy where people who desire to grow their marriages, their parenting skills, they want to be in a group with other people that want to do the same. It's a place where you can come and get community. It's a group coaching session that we do every Tuesday night. We absolutely would love you to come and be a part of that. Tuesday nights we're live on a Zoom broadcast, so it's private, but you get a chance to talk and you get a chance to ask questions. We got people that show up in that room, they be telling on each other like, listen, I just waited to the call because I got to ask, is this how I should approach that? And you get wisdom not only from us but from the group. And so it's a group thing. It's not just about us, but it's about all of us adding value to one another. Go to www.thecrcoach.com. And that's where you can find out. Jeremy, what's up, brother? Good to have you. I'm super excited. My good friend Jeremy Huff is on the line.
Hey, Jeremy.
And retired Navy chief. He's going to be with me on We All Need Some Help Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. You guys don't want to miss it. It's going to be an incredible. He's an incredible dad, blended family, killing the game. Great husband, and we're going to get some tips on how he's doing it, how he's winning. But again, if you've never been a part of what we're doing in MAPS or anything else, the book, Cherie and I have written 7 books between the two of us. We've actually got some that we have planned to write this year. You want to check those out and everything that we have happening at the crcoach.com. T-shirts.
You can get information on our cruise, My Family Rocks cruise. That's going to be in October 2018. Registration, in order to secure your spot, your initial deposit is due by January 15th. So if you're catching this before then, please be sure to go check out www.thecrcoach.com.
You know, it's funny. I just realized we got the blinds open, but the sun is coming in and it's hitting our custom-made portraits that my sister-in-law painted and gave us.
Yes.
But it's all waterfalls and tropical and sun. It looks like we're on a boat already. I'm excited.
Oh, God. It's snow outside.
It is snow on the ground. It is so not warm outside.
Right. But hey, guys, to go back to the love dare, we originally did this book. It's funny because I looked at it when we decided to do it this year. The first time we did it was in 2011.
Wow. Wow.
And
that long ago?
Yeah, that was the first time we did it. And I was looking at some of my comments from 2011, and I can say we have grown significantly.
So even
since then.
Yeah, even us. I think a lot of people look at us, Suri, and they think, well, and the only reason I say this is because some of the comments that we get, I think that some people think that we have it all together. No. That we have it all cranked up, that we don't make mistakes. The whole reason we do this broadcast is to share the mistakes that we made. Like, we have majored in some flaws and some issues that, quite frankly, if we didn't go back and fix them, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And Love Dare was one of the things that we use as a tool to help work on us.
Right. And unfortunately, what happens a lot of times in relationships, in life in general, we just go through life and we forget the part of investing in ourselves.
Yep.
Of continuing to develop ourselves personally.
Yep.
And that's one thing I'm very grateful for. The community we were in before, it was constantly about personal development. So we read tons of books. And we're always focused on how can I be better?
Yep.
And that's what we try to do within MAPS, is help other people to get to that point where you're constantly trying to improve yourself. It's not so much about your spouse.
Right.
It's about you improving yourself. And as you change, people typically, the way they respond to you changes. So if you change, then everything
it's
around you is
likely
going
that
to
people
change.
will follow you in the change that you make. Nikki just jumped in. Thanks for jumping in, Nikki. Listen, guys, here, I want to talk to the men for a quick second. So here's what I've realized about love. Love is attached to several different things. And one of the reasons why we don't get what we want as men is because no one has really taught us how to love. And I'm going to say this on the front end, and it's a disclaimer. Fellas, I'm going to speak some truth. Know that I'm talking about me, but because I know that as a man, we all go through this stuff, I want you guys to really listen really closely, and feel free to chime in and say if this is you or not, because I'm of the opinion that I'm not the only one that struggles with some of the stuff that I struggle with. And it's okay for me to be able to be real honest and talk about that, because at the end of the day, if you're not careful, what'll happen is that you'll be in this bubble and you see yourself kind of in a particular kind of light. And if you don't have people that push on that particular thought process or don't challenge you, I know that a lot of times for us as men, we are good at succeeding. And when I say succeeding, conquering anything is like the goal, right? So if we get on a job, when I was in the Army, it was about making rank. In the gym, it's about getting big. In a relationship, it's about conquering the conquest, meaning that's the girl I want. I'm going to do everything I got to do to get with her, and short of anything illegal, right? But when I get the girl, I'm satisfied. So there's this take the hill kind of mindset that brothers and men have, that if we're not careful, when we come into a marriage, into a relationship, that begins to take front and center, and you become so laser focused on goals and driven on doing what it is that you want to do, that you forget about some things that really are concerning in a marriage, particularly because it involves being sensitive. It involves slowing down. It involves paying attention.
Right.
So go ahead.
I think that men oftentimes, like Glenn said, you get so laser focused on one thing that you forget the things that are really important. Unfortunately. A lot of men grew up with the mindset that, being a husband or being, the head of the household was just being the provider. But there's so much more that comes along with that. And that when you're so focused on that, you miss a lot of other things.
So I'm going to get into a few things that I want to point out. So we are on day 6 of the Love Dare. And if you want to take this challenge, it's not too late. We're going to be on this challenge for 40 days, right? Every single day, there's a dare. There's something you have to do. There's a reading that you're going to do. It's going to give you some perspective on some stuff, and then it's going to challenge you. What's up, Steve? Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping in the room. Do me a favor, y'all. Share this out as much as possible. For those of you all just joining Breakfast with the Brookses, it's our first broadcast of 2018. But day 4 punched me in the face of this Love Dare. And I've been stuck on day 4 for the last 2 days. So although I've been going on and doing my other reading and applying the different stuff, I've been stuck. And the reason why I've been stuck is because day 4 opened up and said that love is thoughtful. Love is thoughtful. And I'm going to just real quick give you a little backdrop. So this book is written from a Christian perspective. It talks about love as it's characterized in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. I'm not going to preach, but I will tell you that to me, as far as I'm concerned personally, that is the definition of love. If you ever wanted to know what is love, pick up a Bible, whether you're a believer or not, right, and go to 1 Corinthians chapter 13 and read verses 1 through 8. And I promise you, really, it's 1 through 11, but 1 through 8 is right, the snapshot of what real love actually looks like. And so when we talk about this love there, it's really bringing out principles from that body of scripture. And the one thing that it said off the rip on day 4 is that love thinks. Right. And I never in my wildest imagination would characterize as love that love actually thinks. Right.
Most people associate love with a feeling.
Right.
That I've fallen in love with you.
Right.
There's this feeling that comes along with it. But the truth of the matter is, number one, love is a choice.
Yeah.
You choose who you love. Now, even, and some people may balk at that. You think, okay, you have children and you love them. Let me give you a public service announcement.
PSA, public service announcement coming through.
You still choose to love your children.
Right.
Yes, there's a maternal instinct or a paternal feeling that you have, but it is still a choice.
Absolutely.
There are unfortunately thousands of people who choose not to love their children
all day long
because they choose themselves.
Absolutely. Over their children.
So they make a choice
yep,
not to love their children. So it's a choice,
mm-hmm,
whether it's a mother or a father. There are people that choose not to love their children. And you think, well, that's just natural. You love your children. That's not true.
I know that's right. And so, and I think that, guys, we need to understand that. And so if we go back to this idea, Cherie, of thoughtfulness, mm-hmm, day 4 said that thoughtfulness or thoughtlessness is a silent enemy to a loving relationship. I want to say that again. Thoughtlessness is a silent enemy to a loving relationship.
It's funny because I just looked at your book. I had that underlined in my book before too.
Right. Look, it's funny because I underlined it the first time we went through. I highlighted it this time I went through, and it still jumped out to me. Mm-hmm. Guys, let me help you guys understand that if you want a loving relationship, being thoughtful is going to be absolutely critical. And I realized that for me as a man, and here's a confession. I remember after my first marriage, I was separated and we were done. Right. And I started doing my thing. I was out there, trying to figure out what was my next step relationally and all this. And I started dating a woman who I think, as far as I'm concerned, changed my life. I didn't marry her because she wasn't good for me. Neither was I good for her. But there were some things that happened in that dating relationship that just changed how I thought. First of all, she was the first person that ever told me to my face and used this word to describe me. And this is not an adjective that most people would use to describe themselves, but she told me to my face. And it's the first time I heard a grown person, not in an argument, not with malice intent, not with, we were just having a conversation. And she said very plainly to me, she said, "Glenn, you are probably the most selfish person I know." And I was like, whoa, are you serious? Like, what? Really? Because I would have never characterized myself as selfish right, in that respect. And so I said, well, what do you mean? She said, so for instance, you don't think about anybody else but yourself.
Oh gosh. I got that.
You got to add to that. Come on.
So now this happened. He was dating this person before we started dating, before we started seeing each other.
Right.
And he had shared this with me, and I was like, oh, okay, he's not selfish. He's giving. But then I started noticing little things, and it's the little things that will show you.
It's getting ready to get hot up in here, y'all.
We would be riding in the car.
Right.
We'd stop at the gas station. He's going to stop and get gas.
Right.
Okay. He goes in and gets gas. He goes inside, going to pay cash, whatever, do it inside.
Right.
He comes out with a bag. Me and the kids sitting in the car.
Not Like a bag full of things.
Bag full of stuff. He come back to the car. He got him a Gatorade, got him some chips, got him some water. I'm sitting there like, did you think maybe we might have wanted?
Now you have to understand, guys, the whole family's in the car.
Maybe we wanted something. He's like, well, y'all didn't ask for anything. You didn't say you were getting anything, and you didn't ask us, did we want anything?
Right.
You went in the store, just you gonna get you something. At no point did he think, even when he's in line, ooh, let me call them real quick, or let me check and see if they want anything.
And so when Cherie says that, you have to understand, I came to our relationship as an extremely selfish individual. And for the first time prior to Cherie, someone, an adult, someone that I cared about, actually told me without arguing, fussing, we weren't in a disagreement or anything. She just told me, Glenn, you're the most selfish person I know. It was a girl that I was dating at the time. And she said, and the reason why I say that is because you don't think about anyone else but you most often. Right. She said, and she started going down a litany of things. So she started talking about how, I was thoughtless when it came to caring for my son, who at the time was probably about 2, in terms of just going and doing what needs to be done for him. Even though my wife and I were separated, we were headed to divorce court. The truth of the matter is that I was stuck on me. And I just want to talk a little bit about what that does. And so the book Love Dare, that's what we're going through for those of y'all that might be just jumping in. So we are challenging our MAPS relationship group. It's called Marriages and Parenting Successfully. It's a relationship academy. We have challenged them to go through with us a 40-day challenge called the Love Dare. And every day we have a challenge. And so on day 4, it opens up. We're on day 6 now, but on day 4, it opens up. It says, love is thoughtful. And I want you to hear this. Thoughtlessness is a silent enemy to a loving relationship. And I want you to hear what it says to men. Let's be honest. Men struggle with thoughtfulness more than women. A man can focus like a laser on one thing and forget the rest of the world. Whereas this can benefit him in one arena, it can make him overlook other things that need his attention. A woman, on the other hand, is more multi-conscious. I love this. Right. It doesn't say she multitasks well, because it's a whole nother talk, but I think that's a misnomer. I don't think anybody multitasks well. Right. You can do it, but there's some attention that you tend to take off of one thing to do another, even though you're doing multiple things. But this says that a woman tends to be more multi-conscious than a man, right? Mm-hmm. She's able to maintain an amazing awareness. Hear that word, awareness of many factors at once. That's why she can talk on the phone, cook, know where the kids are in the house, and wonder why her husband isn't helping.
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
All these thoughts are going through our mind.
So she's aware of all these things simultaneously. Does that make sense, guys? As men, and I want to help you guys out as men, we don't do that well. Let's just be honest. Mm-hmm. Part of it is our DNA. Part of it is how we're made up. Right. But what I did is that I rested on that. Mm-hmm. I rested on the fact that I was just focused. So if I go back to the example that you gave, we would go to the gas station. I literally would pull up. It's clear I'm getting gas, right? But I would go in to pay for the gas. Mm-hmm. And in me going in, I'm on my way to the counter, but I see a whole bunch of things that I want. My focus is to get gas. I'm not thinking about no one else but me, gas, and now, ooh, chips, ooh, some Gatorade, ooh, a candy bar, ooh, we're on a road trip, ooh, this. And so I'm picking these things up on my way to the counter, and at no point do I think, do they want some?
Just selfish.
I don't even think that. It's not that I thought of it and I said, I ain't getting them nothing. Like, they don't deserve it. No, that wasn't it.
Right. He just didn't. His thought pattern was not to think of other people because he was locked in on what he was doing at the time.
Absolutely.
Whereas, if I go in the store, and this is, most women have this thing. It's like we'll go shopping and we're thinking about everybody else. Oh, I can get this for them. I can get this for them. I can get this for them. And you wind up coming out the store, you done bought something for everybody else and didn't get nothing for yourself.
Yeah. And so I want to real quickly go down, and we're going to open this up for everybody to chime in, because I'm sure y'all got some stuff to talk about as well. But men, for example, tend to think in headlines, and I'm answering the question, well, why is this? Why do we do this?
Right.
And it talks about in this chapter of Love Dare that men, for example, tend to think in headlines and say exactly what they mean. Not much is needed to understand the message. His words are more literal and shouldn't be overanalyzed. Women, I need you to hear that, ladies. But women think and speak between the lines. Fellas, you need to hear that. Women tend to think and speak between the lines. They tend to hint. And listen, and I put in the margin on the side for me, so do men raised by women. So do men raised by women. I'm going to make a hard left really quickly. So it's absolutely true that 1 out of 3 children today in America are being raised without their biological father in the home, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to submit to you that many of the men that you're dealing with as your husband, your brother, your uncle, even your father, your coworker, sometimes your boss, have come out of environments where they were not raised by men. They were raised by women. No disrespect. It's just the way it is, right? It's just what it is. But when you are raised in that environment, you tend to pick up qualities that women have oftentimes. And a lot of times you will think kind of along those lines. But then your man thing, manhood, who you really are, kicks in, and it starts to override that kind of stuff. And after a while, what happens is that whereas as a child, you were very thoughtful. As a child, I was really thoughtful. Mm-hmm. I was the kind of kid, my mom would always say that if ever she gave me a cookie, and I'm the oldest of well, I have 7 sisters, but one I grew up with. I would always ask, well, do you have one for Candace? Do you have one for my sister? Right? I was very thoughtful as a child. But what happened between childhood and adulthood? My manhood kicked in. Mm. And as a man, we typically don't think like women. And so my focus got laser narrowed, and it only became about me. Fellas, here's what I'm going to suggest to you. You will never, ever, ever have a successful, loving relationship if you don't learn to become thoughtful. Right. I'm gonna say that one more time, Sheree. As a man, you will never, ever have a successful, loving relationship if you don't somehow work on becoming thoughtful. Right. And so I just want to encourage you guys, listen, love thinks. It doesn't think about its own self. It doesn't think me first. Mm-hmm. Love actually thinks, how can I serve you? How can I assist you? How can I work this out for you? Now, don't get me wrong. You have to be whole to do that. Right. And that's the personal development part that we're talking about. So much so that Sheree and I have launched this year as the year of personal development. What's up, Tawana? Good to see you, sis. I'm glad you jumped in the room. Do me a favor, guys. Share this out. We're talking to men. Nikita, good to see you. I'm glad you jumped in the room. We're talking to men particularly, and helping to encourage you by my own confessions, guys. We are just thoughtless as men. And part of it is because it's our DNA. Right. It's not because you're a bad individual, that because you just are not a nice guy and all that. That's why it used to freak me out when people would characterize me that. But is that who I am today? No, that's not who you are today. You've grown significantly. She said significantly. And it was a process. I mean, and it took patience. Yeah. But he learned to be more thoughtful, to consider us, not just me, consider our children, consider our family, and to, put us in his thought pattern. Yeah. When he's getting ready to do anything, he thinks about how it's going to affect us. For women, typically that comes to us more naturally. Yeah. Than it does for men. But he worked on it when he realized that it was the problem and it was affecting our relationship. Like I said, we originally went through this book in 2011. And I think that's when, it kind of was the first time I think he saw it in black and white. Yeah. That, even though I had been saying things to him, he had heard it before.
But actually seeing it in black and white was the first time that he really was like, okay, this is something I really need to work on. And I mean, and it wasn't like that it turned around immediately.
No,
it took time.
And full disclosure, it's still turning around. Listen to this, guys. One of the things that I have to help you understand is that love or your thinking has to mature. So Sheree and I, we've got some new t-shirts out, and you can go online to crcoach.com. It says, and they say marriage is for the mature.
Yes.
And the reason why
not mature in age.
And not mature in age, it's mature in thought process, right, in terms of how you think, how you approach stuff. Mm-hmm. If your thought life doesn't mature as a man, you will lose your woman.
Right.
Let me just let that one sit. Listen, fellas, listen to me. If your thought life as a man doesn't mature, you will eventually lose your woman. Now, sometimes it's physically. She'll leave you.
Right.
Right? And the reason why is because as a woman, women, first of all, they come to the relationship more mature than you anyhow. Right? Let's just be very honest. Right. When you both got married, particularly if you're the same age, she's always 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of you, typically in almost everything, maybe with the exception of a few things that you might be just naturally good at, right? But the truth is, guys, is that literally, if you don't catch up, and I'm going to say this very clearly, you're going to lose her.
Right.
Now, I've seen people lose and they're still in a relationship. That sucks.
Right.
Like, we know of a couple who's been married, just celebrated their 55th wedding anniversary. Mm-hmm. And I promise you, they are not on the same page.
Right.
It's the worst in the sense of light years. Their thought lives are completely different. And I'm trying to figure out, they either must be a little crazy or they really must be awfully dedicated, because I don't know if I could hang in there for 55 years with someone and we're on completely separate pages. You want to share?
Right. And I think that, being like in the beginning, I said, love is a choice. And part of that choice is choosing to be thoughtful, to choosing to make that other person a priority. And unfortunately, what happens in a lot of marriages, especially with men, they get so focused on the routine or the fringe things of being a husband. And when I say the fringe things, such as being a good provider, mm-hmm. Or just being focused on one thing.
Right.
And if I'm going to be a good dad, I'm going to be a good dad. But a lot of times their idea of being a good dad or being a good husband is not the little things. Mm-hmm. And being thoughtful means considering those little things.
Right.
Those little things mean a lot.
So give me an example when it comes to you personally, Sheree. What does it look like when I'm thoughtful concerning the little things? And guys, this is therapy for me too. I just want y'all to hear this.
Right. So like little things for me are like, if I say I wash the clothes, that he helps to fold them, or he gets them out the washer and dryer, or that he thinks, like, if I haven't been feeling well, mm-hmm. that he'll think, hey, do you need me to go run to the store to get something, versus him staying in because he works from home. He could stay in his office all day. He'll come out the room and come and check on me. Mm-hmm. And these things may seem, some of you may say, these are little things. Why wouldn't he think of that? But when a person is selfish, when a person is not being thoughtful, they won't think of those things.
Correct.
Because they're so caught up in their individual world. They're caught up in whatever it is that they're doing.
Correct.
That they don't think of others.
Correct.
And so even fixing dinner, going to get the kids, right. Just doing those little things, those things that we think are, just hearing them, just even me saying them, they seem so insignificant to some degree. But those are signs of a person being thoughtful.
Right.
When a person thinks about those things and does those things, it's showing thoughtfulness.
So I just want to, as we conclude today's broadcast, guys, I really want to go back and just say, listen, fellas, if you want to learn, if you want to grow, ladies, if you want to learn and you want to grow, you have to do it on purpose. The year of 2018 for us and the group that we lead is the year of personal development. We're going to be doing a live personal development training every single month in the year 2018.
Every third Saturday
so every month. Third Saturday of the month, starting January the 20th, we're going to be doing some kind of live training that involves personally developing in 3 different areas, either in your marriage, in your parenting, or in your blended family scenario. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to crcoach.com. I want you to sign up for that to become a part of it. It's only $20.18 per live training. Are you kidding me? Right. Like, you can't, like, all you got to do is not eat lunch twice in 1 week, and you can afford that. Here's what changed the game for me. Cherie and I will be celebrating 19 years at the end of this month. Here's the truth. I was married for 12 years before. I mucked it up. It was terrible. I just mucked it up. I also know that Cherie, having been married twice before me, she didn't do that well.
Right.
What changed the game for us was us growing as individuals. And when we decided to do things like invest in ourselves, when we decided to do things like invest in each other, what happened is that it literally changed the game for our relationship. So we want to encourage you to invest in yourselves. crcoach.com is the place that you need to go to find out more about that. It's only $20.18 per training. So we definitely want to make sure that you guys are a part of that. It's live. You can ask questions. That's the game changer, because we want to deal with specific scenarios and give you tips and strategies, more importantly, on how to make that happen. And so we just want to encourage you to do that.
Right. And also for 2018, we also are offering a special deal. If you go to the crcoach.com, we're offering a special deal on membership into the MAPS Relationship Academy. For $20.18, you get your first 3 month subscription. Will only cost $20.18 for the first 3 months. So you can get to come into the group, get a feel for what it is we do actually in the academy. And then at the end of that 3 months, you can determine what type of subscription you'd like to continue on with, or you can cancel at that time.
Yeah.
But we'd like you to join us, come into the group. It's $20.18 a month for that. The personal development training is $20.18. And also, just a reminder, we're planning our My Family Rocks Cruise 2018. The initial deposit is due by January 15th. It's only $50 per person. This is a great deal. We hope as many people as possible join us.
Right.
We're going to have a great time on the ship. We got some fun activities planned.
Oh, man, we can't wait. If you've never cruised before, you got to come go with us.
Right.
We cruised twice in the last 10 months. Our first 2 cruises, the first one, Christmas, and then we went like 10 months later, and we just got bit by that bug. So we want to encourage you guys to definitely make sure that you sign up, be a part of that. We'd love to have you. We're going to jump out of here. I got a coaching call coming up, and we want to let you guys know. We really appreciate y'all for being here. Next Saturday, we'll be here again live at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and for Breakfast with the Brookses. And
as we always say,
at the end of the day, hashtag we all need some help. Y'all have a great day.